A very good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of KSI Morning Brief, your daily dose of updates on world markets and news. To begin with, global markets. On Monday, oil prices slipped as fears of a second wave of coronavirus infections in China and a surge in cases in the United States sent investors for safe haven assets such as gold. US equities erased losses and turned higher on Monday afternoon after the Federal Reserve announced it would begin individual corporate bond purchases. The central bank will begin taking in bonds through its secondary market corporate credit facility on Tuesday, roughly 3 months since it first revealed the program and subsequently backstopped risk assets. Purchases will be made to form a portfolio based on a broad, diversified market index of US corporate bonds. Meanwhile, in Europe, the FTSE 100 was down by 0.66%, the DAX was down by 0.32%, and the CAC 40 was down by 0.49%. European stocks ended the day in the red on Monday amid concerns over a resurgence of coronavirus in Asia and the US lockdowns were eased. Looking at Asia, the Nikkei was up by 2.75%, the Hang Seng was down by 2.16%, and the Shanghai Composite was down by 1.02%. Investors were worried after China reintroduced restrictions in some areas after Beijing reported its biggest cluster of new infections since February. Royalty Pharma, a buyer of biopharmaceutical royalties, is planning to offer 70 million shares priced at $25 to $28 to raise up to 1.96 billion US dollars. That would help it to be ahead of Warner Music Group's recent IPO, which raised 1.925 billion US dollars for the parent of Atlantic Records, Warner Records, and Elektra Records. Since its inception in 1996, Royalty Pharma deployed 18 billion US dollars through end of last year to acquire royalties from academic institutions, research hospitals, and nonprofits, its filing shows. Its portfolio includes treatments for rare diseases, oncology, neurology, HIV, cardiology, and diabetes. Proceeds of the IPO will be used for general corporate purposes and to make acquisitions if appropriate. Next on global news, we have Anjana to bring you some latest updates.
Thank you, Mashud. Looking at global news, in the US state Idaho, residents will receive a one-time $1,500 cash payment to resume full-time jobs and $750 for part-time positions. British Petroleum has forecast lower oil prices for decades to come as governments speed up plans to cut carbon emissions in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic. It has cut price forecast by about 30% and expects Brent crude to average $55 a barrel from now until 2050. As a result, the oil giant says it will revise down the value of its assets by between $13 billion and $17.5 billion. Looking at Asia, Japan's Mitsubishi Electric Corp announced that it would buy a part of a plant in Western Japan from Sharp Corp to meet growing demand for power management chips used in electric vehicles. Mitsubishi, a major supplier of such chips to Toyota Motor Corp, said it would invest about 187 million US dollars to acquire two idle facilities at Sharp Chips plant. Looking at COVID-19 updates, total cases around the world are at 8.1 million with over 439,000 deaths. The recoveries are at 4.2 million and daily cases are over 121,000. Looking at Sri Lanka, 1,905 total cases have been reported with 11 deaths and total recoveries are 1,342. Looking at the vaccine updates, AstraZeneca plc has signed a contract with European governments to supply the region with its potential vaccine against the coronavirus. The contract is up to 400 million doses of the vaccine developed by the University of Oxford. Other news related to COVID-19, the head of the WHO says more than 100,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus have been reported worldwide each day over the past 2 weeks, mostly in the America and South Asian countries. French President Emmanuel Macron has announced a number of coronavirus restrictions are being lifted. Cafes, restaurants are opening across France, and travel to other European countries will be allowed. People will also be able to visit family members in retirement homes, which have been hit particularly hard by the COVID-19 outbreak. So that's it for KSI Morning Brief. We'll be joining you again tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Till then, goodbye.